Hello, Assalamu alaikum everybody. Hope you're all safe, sound, and healthy. And it has been hot this whole week, right? As we already knew, there were no rains expected, and so it didn't rain. Actually, it rained one day, sometime I think at night or something. But basically, it's hot, really hot. So much for the autumn vibes that came. They literally have sort of vanished for this week, but it's a good thing because the floods and everything, we need the water levels to recede, and they are receding. And well, understand it or not, like it or not, but the environment helps a lot. The weather, the climate helps a lot in helping the floods to further recede a little more speedily, if you know what I mean. That helps. And obviously the bit of humidity obviously is also because of the floods. But again, you can see that the humidity levels are also falling. Again, that tells you that the moisture in the air, it means, is getting a bit lesser, which was very, very heavy because of the floods. So that again shows that the river levels have gone back to normal. Some are on, I think one, Satluj is probably still, at least as of yesterday, I think it was still on medium flood level. But all the other rivers have gone back to normal levels, and the floods that have rendered people helpless, that have almost basically destroyed their homes and their lands and their agriculture and all, though that is also receding very fast. Many people have returned home, many are returning, but again, it's a very painful process, as we know, because now they're returning home to all that carnage, all that damage, and they have to now take stock of how to start from scratch. And apart from that, what else is going on apart from that? I'm just marveling at the stupidity of our army chief, because, as you know, right now he is trying to shut down the Twitter account of the official Twitter account of Imran Khan's. And this is like a big thing that's going on in the actual news world, not in your propaganda news, which is being, yeah, that's another thing. The reason why I'm talking about it is because it's kind of pissing me off that the army is still so busy trying to milk the the little scuffle that we had with India, and how our army proved itself. Again, it's not the army that proved itself, it is the Air Force that proved itself. So, why is the army chief trying to take credit for that? Nobody knows. And he's trying to milk it all and everything, but it is as shitty as hell, to be very honest. As a patriot, I don't even see the sense in it. I think nobody really does. But he is using the ISPR to just milk and milk and milk it, and always say, oh, the nation and the army are one. We're not one. I'm sorry to burst your bubble that you brought from God knows where out of your ass, but seriously, we're not one. Okay, we don't mind the Air Force, we don't mind the Navy, because they've never really actually done anything to harm us. It's always the bloody army that has to come in and just ass it all, and then make a mess out of the whole situation. Again, why? We all know, because since 1947 our army has literally been in the hands of the Brits, and obviously later on the Brits delegated everything to the Americans. So this is where we stand, okay? Like it or not, accept it or not, but it is a fact. I'm talking about, again, the I know that the army again has two factions. In fact, that is the thing that I mentioned in my novels even years and years ago. But again, point being, forget the factions at the moment. We're talking about this particular faction, this particular treacherous faction, okay, of which always it seems that they managed to bring out an army chief. Most of our army chiefs have come from this faction. Very, that if that doesn't tell you that you're being controlled by a foreign entity, I don't know what does. But there we are. So yeah, his stupidity here, because, like, okay, also, the cricket thing, which was even more stupid. I think I talked about the cricket thing where, as I said, to me, Pakistan was, it was very obvious that they would lose. And many people, as they pointed out, is that obviously, look, if you had Imran Khan here as your leader, then things would have been very different. But because you've got these a-holes you shouldn't really expect anything from your cricket team. I mean, look who they put as the chief of the cricket board. I mean, like, are you serious? Again, because there's a lot of money to be made there, so they just put their relatives there, and they're like, okay, let's make money out of this. To hell with the players. And remember, these people are never sincere. So it reflects, the leadership. It kind of reflects on everything. It reflects on your day-to-day expenses. It reflects on your jobs. It reflects on your market. It reflects on your GDP. It reflects on your sports. It reflects on basically anything and everything that holds some sort of a meaning in any way, or especially where money can be made. So yeah, but the pathetic press conference by India, as we know, and obviously then the answer to that, which now Pakistanis are kind of, or the whole world is basically now kind of, celebrating that after the fact. But again, who cares? At where I'm standing, I don't really care about that, because I do not follow cricket, as you know. So, but that again leads me to this thing where, I'm listening in the real news that, that they're still trying their best to, as you know, they've tried to contact Google, and they've tried to contact X, and they've tried to contact so many places where they're trying to censor people and everything. And so, where X is concerned, they're trying to put a petition that his Twitter account should be closed or something, whatever. But the point is that it just showed me again how stupid they are. Like, are you serious? Like, you're actually thinking that by banning Imran Khan's name from being taken in the media and banning his picture from being shown in the media, and it's been 2 years. Did it make a difference? Sorry, do you see it making any difference? Does it seem to have any negative impact on Imran Khan and his following? No, if anything, it's blown up even more. He's become, again, he's always been a worldly, and a worldly player, you can say. I mean, he's always been a person who has been on the news every time he's been in the media, he's been in the news, he's been everywhere. I mean, he's always, the world's eyes are always on him. Okay, so I don't even understand what makes people think that, if they'll ban his name from being taken on Pakistani official media, or if they ban his pictures from being shown, or any talks about him and this and that, then they'll be successful at what? I mean, okay, you do realize that the media and social media and and all this IT technology and everything, it really didn't exist until literally a little over 2 decades ago, right? We're talking about IT here, a little over 2 decades ago. And if you're talking about the media in general, especially I'm talking about audio visual multimedia, okay, if you're talking about multimedia in general, it didn't really exist until what, the 50s, 1950s is when it actually properly started. So tell me one thing. Do you know that this world existed way before that? That this world has existed for centuries? Right. So then you do know that many of the leaders that we talk about even today, they're from times when there was literally no media whatsoever. Audiovisual, multimedia, press, print, whatever, anything, any form of media. Purely analog times. Yet, somehow, by some miracle, they always managed to get their messages through to people across continents. They always managed to organize and strategize plans, and organizations and wars, and they made, like Hazrat Usman, who made the first actual navy, Islamic navy, as in the first Muslim navy, or Hazrat Umar, who created the first intelligence network in the world, and he created the whole idea of how an army should be organized. He created the army bases, the cantonment, everything. He's the one who created the accountability bureau. He's the one who created the whole government infrastructure that you're following today. You're literally following those people who did such huge, gigantic tasks at a time when they were 100% analog, when there was no media, there was no digitization of anything, there was no technology of the sort of as an information technology, right? And you are still following their strategies, you're still following their way of doing things, you're still following them, you're following their plans, their footprints, their blueprints, right? You know, Hazur Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, peace be upon him, the Prophet, we still take his name, right? We haven't seen him. In fact, in his time, many people never saw him because, again, there was no TV in his time, there was no radio in his time. It's not like he held on to a speaker and a mic and started giving speeches to the whole world. And yet, even in his time, he was a fast becoming, a very popular, nationally popular, and then internationally popular person. That people came from different nations just to see him, just to meet him because they heard of him. How was that possible, you say? Wow, you think you're the only civilized people or the only civilized generation in this world? Like, seriously, how stupid are you? That's all I want to know. This is why I keep on and on saying that as a civilization, we have regressed. We haven't progressed, we have regressed. The fact that we literally attribute the previous civilization's remarkable projects, and whatever it is that they have done, their achievements in life, we literally attribute it to aliens. That shows how stupid we are, really, as a civilization on our own. Not even understanding the fact that all knowledge is as old as man, and every civilization actually has probably touched the knowledge we have touched and even gone beyond, and that is why they've self-destructed. And we are also going to self-destruct when we reach that peak of our knowledge. Now, again, remind me, how is it that we know about those civilizations that existed way before us? How is it that we can see their achievements that they made? How is it that we saw, proofs of their town planning that was really advanced? How is it that we saw proofs of how they made the pyramids, which again cannot even be done today by you people who have all the technology in the world? How is it that they managed to create a system where just one candle could heat up a whole water system? Yeah, trying to find that secret out. The British literally effed the Mughal architecture underground, and they effed their plumbing system, and finally the candle blew, But again, trying to find out how they used their brains in the past and, used their existing technology or creating new technology within their time period to make things that today, with all your technology, you still cannot reproduce or recreate. Doesn't that tell you something about yourselves as a civilization or ourselves as a civilization, Seriously? So how stupid, again, is our army chief, and how stupid is our government, and how stupid is the US, for example, or Israel, or the UK, where they think that, now here I'm going to now talk about the Western world. How stupid are they, or how stupid do they think we are when they think that, oh, we're now going to make statements where we're going to accept Palestine, but we have a condition. Like, are you serious? I don't see you laying down conditions for Israel. Nobody in the whole freaking world sees you laying down conditions with regards to Israel. Did you ever once tell Israel to demilitarize? Who the hell is militarized over there? It's not the Palestinians. If the Palestinians were militarized, why is it that the Palestinians are being occupied? And why the need then to remind the world that Palestine is a state that existed for centuries? Before you sent your European idiots there, pretending to be Jews and Israelis, and coming there and pretending that they owned the land when they're not even Arabs. They're white-assed Europeans. They spoke Yiddish, for crying out loud. They literally had to learn Hebrew from the real Jews, and then they killed all those Jews, by the way. Yeah. Amongst their genocidal tendencies was not just Muslims. In fact, one of the first batch of huge amounts of genocide that these Zionists committed was against authentic Arabic Jews. Imagine that. They kidnapped them. They tried to make them native. Again, native to what? They were already native. They were native Jews. What were you trying to make them native of or for? Or I mean, what was the whole concept behind it? Nobody understood. Nobody understands even today. Not a single time has anybody spoken out about how Israel needs to be demilitarized, how Mossad needs to cease to exist. You keep talking about the Olympics and how Mossad was taking revenge. Have you forgotten that actually it was the Jews again that once again first started it? And in the Olympics, it was a reaction to what they had done. So they had no right to react to that reaction. Okay? It's amazing how people seem to forget everything. I would please ask you to go and read the actual history because that is all on the record. And why is it that the people they targeted as a revenge plan were all the wrong people who had nothing whatsoever to do with the Olympics anyway? They killed professors, they killed doctors, they killed professionals. Even now, they're doing the same. They're killing children, they're killing old people, they're killing people who are just going there to get food, they're killing people who are doctors, who are nurses, they're killing journalists. So they're basically killing anybody and everybody who could document what they're doing. So you're telling me that, I mean, it's a farce. It's a farce. The Europeans are a farce anyway because they're the ones that created this whole fitna in the first place. They're the ones that created the whole occupation of Palestine. And now they're like, oh, we're going to recognize Palestine, but we have a condition. Hamas needs to go. Yeah, here's a condition. Mossad needs to go. The whole Israeli government needs to go. In fact, you know what? The Israeli settlers need to go because they're all militarized. They're all encroaching upon a land that has existed for centuries. Even if you open your Bible, you will see the word Palestine. You will not see the word Israel. There is no Israel. I'm sorry. Where did Israel come from? It was always Palestine. And it will always be Palestine. And I don't care whatever it is, the frack that you people think you're going to try to be able to do, but you're going to fail miserably. You already have failed miserably. And even now, if you listen properly to the statements of the French government, and if you listen properly, when they're saying, oh, Israel failed after killing 50,000, okay, 50,000 terrorists are not terrorists. If you're saying they killed 50,000 members of Hamas, then that means they literally killed the population, the actual population of Palestine. 50,000 doesn't make up a political party, and 50,000 doesn't make up a terrorist outfit. 50,000 number of people, it just doesn't make. And you're saying that, oh, they successfully killed, so successful. So look at the words here. They successfully killed 50,000, but then even more came. Oh, really? What did you expect? You were killing Palestinians. More came from amongst them. Their children came, their grandchildren came. And now they have failed. Yeah, see, that's the key word. They have failed in the mission that we sent them to do. That is basically what the French government is trying to tell you. This was so obvious that I don't even understand how people didn't even notice that. It was so obvious by the actual words that he said. Even if translated in English, it was so obvious that he was literally saying that, oh, you were successful the first time round in killing so many Palestinians, but guess what? More Palestinians came and fought against you. And this time, you failed. You failed in your genocidal attempt. That is what he's saying. You failed to deliver. That is what he's saying. It has gone wrong. So now we need to back off, rethink, re-strategize. That is what he's saying. Let's pretend to give Palestine its space, but we will remove Hamas from the equation. Hamas, which is the legitimate political party that represents Palestine. That is the very Hamas that allowed you to share Palestine as a two-state theory. It is that same Hamas that said that, okay, let's live in peace. We have enough land. They can have their piece of land. And now Hamas are not just freedom fighters. No, Hamas are the actual official representatives of Palestine. They were actually a political party. They were actually the governing body. And you're calling them a terrorist? You know who's a terrorist? The Israeli government. Now that is a terrorist outfit. And Mossad, which is their militarization. And the settlers that are being called in, again, more militarization. So, who are you trying to fool again? You cannot accept a country with conditions, especially a country that already exists. Conditions apply to a country that is trying to force the world to say that it exists, which is Israel. Israel actually does not exist. You just put it on paper. That doesn't mean it exists. I'm sorry. Penning down the name of anything doesn't make it real. Just because you gave it the name Israel and put it on paper, that does not make Israel Israel. I'm sorry. It is still Palestine. There is no Israel. And that's that's a hard fact. Okay? These are just a bunch of terrorists. It's a terrorist group that was transported from Europe to invade Palestine. And they're failing very badly. And in fact, they would have failed immediately if you hadn't successfully planted your type of leadership in the surrounding Middle Eastern countries, which is basically why you keep on toppling off. Either you're fiddling with Libya, or you're fiddling with Lebanon or Yemen, or you're fiddling with Egypt, you're fiddling with Syria, you're fiddling with Saudi Arabia, you're fiddling with UAE, you're fiddling with all these Middle Eastern countries, Jordan, everybody around them, trying to make sure that Israel, the terrorist organization called Israel, is safe. And that is actually what's going on. That is the truth of the matter here. Okay? So, yeah, Palestine already existed. If conditions need to be laid, they need to be laid against Israel. And they need to be laid on Israel. Okay? You cannot tell Palestine that, oh, okay, we'll accept you, but you need to remove your government. Excuse me? Why? So that you can successfully plant a Palestinian government of your own making, so that you can control Palestine the way you have managed to control the other Middle Eastern countries or your former colonies like Pakistan today. Right? That is exactly what you're trying. And actually, that is why you have a problem with Palestine, because that is one thing that you could never do. With all the invasions, all the genocide, everything, you just couldn't manage to plant a hypocritical, false government in Palestine to do your bidding. You did that in France, actually, yes. You have been meddling with France as well. You've been meddling with Germany now. You've been meddling with Italy and other countries. Yes. You're all bringing together people to share your common cause, which is invasion of Palestine, which will lead to obviously ultimate control of the Middle East and the Middle Eastern region, and then again here towards Asia, and then using everybody as pawns towards your next move. Yeah, you're a bunch of idiots. But then again, bigger fools those who actually believe this whole shit and don't even understand what's going on. But I'm telling you, a huge majority actually does see what is going on, and they do realize what you're doing. So our army chief and our government is so stupid. They're so stupid that they actually think that they can successfully, vanquish Imran Khan. Like, again, excuse me? We have IT today. We have social media today. We have grown without these things. We, the generations that existed prior to media and prior to IT, we all exist still here in one timeline. Us, our fathers, our grandfathers, we all are still here. 3 generations here, thank you. And then the 4th one that literally was born with all of this, forget them, because we're not talking about them. We're talking about those of us who have lived without all of these, newfangled things that you think that now we would actually depend on. That, oh, remove his face from the media and people will forget. Like, are you stupid? For how long was Palestine literally censored in the media, as in the actual war, the genocide, the fights? And so you thought that actually it worked. You thought that, look, for the longest time we managed to make the world think that, oh, the whole horrors that are being played out in Palestine have died down, things have settled down, there is now peace. There is just a little bit of skirmishes going on every now and then, but overall there is peace. Yeah, okay, so people stayed in that delusion for some time, okay, but again, how long did it last? And it wasn't the social media that brought it back to life. It wasn't the media that brought it, definitely not the media that brought it back to life. Who was it? It was people like Imran Khan who stood in front of the United Nations and reminded the people that there is still genocide going on in Palestine every day. And then the social media became reactivated, and then the mainstream media had no choice but to talk about it. When things don't just go viral, you have to make them go viral. You have to have people around you to make them go viral. You have to have people to sit up and actually see what's going on to make them viral. Do you think people want to go and see devastation and death? No. But when something picks up pace, there's a reason behind it. Okay? So removing anything or anybody from the media doesn't mean that people will forget about it. Nobody's forgotten Kashmir. Oh, so because nobody in the international media talks about occupied Kashmir in India, you think that people have forgotten about Kashmir? Hell, India itself reminds the whole world every now and then. Every time it's obsessing about Pakistan, every time India obsesses about, and that is usually during the election time. Every time there's an election in India, India immediately activates its obsession for Pakistan, and ultimately then the door opens for Kashmir. And the whole world again gets reminded about Kashmir. Even now, this Pahalgam attack, which India thought it was being very clever that it would stage a false flag operation in Kashmir because of the elections in Bihar, and they're like, oh, let's just stage this whole thing, and then we'll blame Pakistan. You've again reminded the whole world about Kashmir. Thank you very much. Similarly, Israel keeps reminding the whole world about Palestine. Okay? And similarly, the whole world keeps on and on getting reminded about Imran Khan. And it has nothing to do with your mainstream media at all. It has to do with real people talking about them, real people reactivating the same subject over and over again. Yes, social media has played a huge part in reminding everybody and keeping them abreast of Palestine, Kashmir, Imran Khan, this, that, everything. Yes. But remember, social media is also a tool in the hands of governments, and it does get manipulated. As we know, Metaverse and YouTube, they are used by governments to censor a lot of people that are trying to remind people over and over again about the horrors in Palestine, about the horrors in Kashmir, about what is going on in Pakistan, about the constant interference of the Western world in Pakistan, about the illegal government in Pakistan, about and again, it's the people, real people, going to other real people and then reminding them that this is going on and that we need to put it out there. And then they make the effort to put it out there despite all the censorship. You understand? So, again, let me remind you, during the time of the Prophet, peace be upon him, and during the time of all the four caliphs, there was no media. During the time of the Roman Empire, there was no media. During the time of the Greek Empire, there was no media. During the time of the Byzantine Empire, there was no media, and yet we know about all of them. Why? Why do we know about all of them? Why do we still remember them today? The Ottoman Empire, why do we still remember them today? Tell me. Did we have social media to remind us of it? Did we have multimedia to remind us of it? What was it? There are certain things that cannot be forgotten, and they are timeless. They will go on forever and ever. How is it that we still remember Muhammad Ali Jinnah? How do we still remember Nehru? How do we still remember Gandhi? How do we still remember Allama Iqbal? How do we still remember Sikandar Azam? Okay, Alexander the Great. How do we still remember all of these people? Was it because of media? No. There are footprints. There are footprints on this earth that do not fade. And there is a reason why we call it history. There are things that will always remain unforgotten forever. Okay? And you do not need the media in order to have somebody's footsteps remain planted in this world. Media is just a tool that made things easier for us. But you do not need these tools to remember people. We need our brains. That is where memories are made. We put out those memories using the media as a tool to share. When there was no media, we still shared. We shared by word of mouth. We shared by written word. We still shared. How do you think the story of Adam and Eve still stands today? How do we know that this is an authentic story? How is it that nobody ever refuted the creation of Adam and Eve and the existence of Adam and Eve? This is a story that has been told even though the world completely finished with the floods and the world restarted all over again with Hazrat Nuh, with Noah. And that is why Noah is known as the second father, because after that whole world was completely destroyed, it was started from scratch by Hazrat Noah's family and some extended families and people and few companions and friends, and then the animals and everything. Remember, they had to put everything, little parts of the whole world in a ship and bring them out of that disaster and then restart the whole world again. Imagine. And yet we know about Adam and Eve, the very, very first humans on earth. How? Word of mouth and written records. One would argue written records were destroyed then with everything else. But again, remember, Hazrat Nuh was still there. His family was still there. The extended companions were still there. Family was still there. Friends were still there. And again, once again, they penned it down. And they used word of mouth. So the story never stopped. So it's amazing that you may know them as with different names. But if you look at the Jews, they know about Adam and Eve. If you look at the pagans, they know about Adam and Eve. If you look at the Muslims, they know about Adam and Eve. If you look at the Christians, they know about Adam and Eve. There is not a single culture in this world, not a single culture, not a single religion that doesn't have the story of Adam and Eve. It's amazing, isn't it? Tell me, was there media? Was there social media? You do not need the media or the social media to remind somebody of someone or something that exists. You only need your brains. And again, as I said, when there's so many of you who know about it, how can you have it fade? How can you have it vanquish? Like, this is the most stupid thing ever. I mean, seriously. Talk about Dumb and Dumber. I mean, it's amazing. It's just amazing. I don't know if I got my point across here because to me it is so obvious and it's so simple. I don't even know how much more simply I can put it. Because, again, we have lived without the media. Are you trying to say that we didn't live before the media? There's so many people who existed before the media even existed, and we still talk about them today. We read about them, we study about them. It's beyond stupid. I'm sorry, it's just beyond stupid. Well, this is me signing out. Khuda Hafiz.